Hello, everyone. This is the weekly show of the LAN, and this is our 17th one. We skipped last week because I was gone and, well, most everyone was gone. But we have a variety of topics here and a few new people, so I'll go around introducing ourselves. I'm Caveman the One, also known as Nick Haven, and I do a lot of things, and I'm on Named Year's Red Team Plus. So, do you want to go next, Castiel?
Sure. I am known as Castiel on the forums. Sometimes I'm called Tracer or Waffleben or Waffleben. I go by many names, but I analyze legal news. Somewhat of a tech enthusiast and somewhat of a gamer. So that's me.
And then Kemoka.
Hello, I'm new here. I'm Kemoka, but I'm on the Level 1 Tech forums. Kind of been lurking around, contributing for quite a while now, about a year. I'm kind of a big tech enthusiast. I like enterprise gear. I love cheap enterprise gear. I have about 6 monitors, plus a couple others. And if you come to me and ask me if I want to put solar on my roof, I will laugh at you, and I might actually punch you.
Okay.
Good
And
information.
Fouquin.
Hi, I'm Fouquin. I'm Caveman's frenemy. Goes. So, and I like to talk about AMD, so we're frenemies.
Oh,
Okay. First topic here is Castiel's. It's about journalist and leaking of official material and what it could mean.
All right. So before I get started on this, I just want to let the viewers know that I spent 13 hours learning English law, and I found out it's fairly similar to the United States, but there are some differences. But you don't really need to know that law for this article or reading it. But I did it so that I would have an understanding as to how their law system worked. So this is something that's been brought up in the English Parliament. And what they're proposing is that based on the way the law is written, there is potential that journalists could go to jail for 17 years for publishing an article about a government document that they got from an anonymous source. Now, you may have heard a key buzzword that's been going around that bothers the heck out of me, which is leaked documents. Now, the key thing to understand when it comes to journalism, the idealism of journalism, is that a journalist, when they obtain information that they believe is important to the public's interest, and they will publish this information once they vet it, look at it, analyze it, run it by the editor, and then they will run with the story. That's the idealism of journalism. So the way this is written, potentially a journalist could go to jail for 17 years for simply just doing their job, for publishing something they got from an anonymous source, because as a journalist, you're not supposed to reveal your sources. You're supposed to protect your sources when they ask, hey, I want to be anonymous on this. When it comes to whistleblowing on governments, you definitely want the whistleblower to feel like they're protected. You want them to always come to you. Big government things that have happened as a result of anonymous sources, or in general, in the United States, we had Watergate. We also had the Catholic Church children molestation story that broke as a result of anonymous sources. And then those are just a couple off the top of my head. So in journalism, it's important that this is allowed to continue to happen. Now, if this passes in England, the dangers could be potentially catastrophic to journalists in general. It could be where the journalist is like, should I really write this story? Or whistleblowers will be like, is it worth the risk to tell them this? Because the journalist could go to jail anyways as a result. So it's kind of a terrifying law the way it's written right now. It's very vague. A lot of people are worried about it. It hasn't passed yet, but it's something I want to bring everyone's attention to, and it's something I'm going to keep my eye on, and I'll let you know where it goes. So that's that one. Anyone have any questions on that or any comments they would like to add?
I was just thinking, Snooper's charter in the UK passed with flying colors, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I can probably see this going through. Maybe not, but we'll see. It takes a lot of waffling to kind of get these things together. So if this passes, watch out.
Yep, we'll see. All right, so the next one is a fairly important topic to me, and that is that publishers are still fighting universities to get them to, and libraries to get them to pay fees for excerpts of academic papers. So the way academic papers work in general is you have to pay a fee for accessing them. These fees are not cheap; they're rather expensive. So a way of getting around them, universities have been doing basically taking an excerpt, just one paragraph from these different various articles so that the students can get the information they need and move on. That was the idea behind just here's an excerpt that you can use and just move on and don't worry about it. But these academic papers, the people that run these companies are still suing the universities. This lawsuit isn't over yet. It's in the appellate level right now. It's an important case for a lot of reasons. It's something that's very near and dear to me in a lot of ways because for me personally, when it comes to academic papers, I understand why the fee's there. I get that. But I feel like the way it's distributed and the way it's done to universities isn't necessarily the right way of doing it. I think there's a better system for it to be determined in the future. I believe in the access of information when it comes to academia. I believe it should be open, completely open. There should be no barriers when it comes to students. They should be able to access it. Maybe for a professional, they should have to pay for it first. But for a student, they already have enough fees as it is. So that's my opinion on the issue. It's something I'm keeping an eye on. It remains to be seen where this case will go. I'll keep an eye on it and I'll let you guys know. Anyone have any questions on that? If not, we can go to the next one.
I think it was pretty clear what you're getting at. So the next one here is one that I found, and it's an interesting way of attacking a system. They've researched a way to break into the ASLR implementation, which is a memory protection mechanism, which if you break into that, you know how programs work and you know how to get at them and all the data. So basically it's not a very nice thing because you can take over someone's computer, and it's on pretty much every architecture since it looks like 2008, and it's probably on most of them to begin with. So it's kind of an interesting thing I found here. I'm not sure
Does that have any relation to the Rowhammer memory hack from a few years ago?
I don't think so, since this one was developed by a university. So
okay. Didn't know if it was if it was in relation to that exploit or if it was a completely different exploit.
It's a different exploit as far as I understand, but it the article does reference Rowhammer. Let me just pull this up.
Because it sounds very similar.
Yeah, it's okay. So here it is. The team that discovered this, it's the same research team that that kind of were experimenting with the Rowhammer attack. So it's the same guys.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Okay, it is related. Yeah, so they basically they just found a more direct route than trying to go through the RAM.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're still doing that, but they're going straight to the CPU instead. That's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit scarier, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Cool that they found it though. That's actually kind of awesome.
It's good that they found it and not other people.
Yeah.
That's why it's awesome.
Oh, but you know that the authorities are going to be like, yes, good. We need this.
See, the solution to that is use Athlon 64s because they That's right.
Well, they actually haven't tried the old ones yet, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be easier on the older machines.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Let's see, who's next here? Oh yeah, now we're on to some of the quick topics, and the first one we have up here is Nokia is back, apparently, and they're also bringing back the 3310. So,
Well,
Yeah,
Oh, no.
kind of. Technically, it's a Swedish company that's taken the brand, and they're putting out some new phones. So yeah, I am kind of rooting for this company because it looks like they're making the right move so far. So I'm curious to see what they come out for a flagship phone.
yeah, the Nokia
the
6
brand
is
bought them.
released. So, well, sort of. It's released in China, but not in the US. And other than that, they say they're going to release a Nokia 5. Apparently, they're skipping all of the numbers before that, but so
Yeah.
They count like Microsoft. It makes sense because they were owned by Microsoft.
yep.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll see. We'll have to see how this goes because I don't know about the smartphones. I mean, it's got pretty high barriers to entry outside of China because in China they've got all sorts of smartphones. What's interesting to me is that whatever company this is trying to bring back the 3310. The 3310, I don't know what they're going to do with it. They're probably going to update it. They're going to have to update the bands because some of the bands might not work anymore. 2G protocol. Basically say goodbye to that as far as I'm aware. You might have it somewhere else, but anyway, the
2G network still works in a lot of areas. It's carried by a lot.
I haven't seen it.
AT&T T-Mobile still carry it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, but it's really interesting because apart from like the jitterbug phones for old people, with the massive buttons, I can't really see this taking off because like apart from like the 3310 had two things that were legendary to it. One was that it was basically indestructible. You could throw it off a cliff. You got YouTube videos where people just chuck these things off of buildings and they work fine. And they had insane amounts of battery life. Like you could run one for like 2 weeks. Okay, so the durability thing I can see being appealing, but in terms of battery life, most smartphones will last a couple of days, and that's not really. For me, that's not nearly enough. So but there are phones like this where it's like, oh, it's like it's 3/4 of a pound, but it's all battery, and I charged this. I can't remember the last time I charged this, and it's lasting me 2 weeks, and it's still at 30%. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know where this is gonna go.
What you're gonna find is there are a lot of people who just want a dumb phone.
Yeah.
They don't want a phone that is a miniature computer.
Mhm.
And while they might still own a smartphone to have that miniature computer, I know a lot of people personally who just want a phone that does phone things and isn't
absolutely, yeah.
or on a fancy piece of glass in their pocket that they can break when they sit down or bend when they sit down.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's going to be It's going to be a complementary accessory these days for people who do want a reasonably good phone that's going to last a couple weeks.
Yep.
That don't want.
They don't want all the bells and whistles and
Yeah. Like my grandfather, I know will be somebody who accepts this, and then somebody else will be like, my brother-in-law. I mean, he works in data analysis, and he likes just having a dumb phone. He still has a Samsung flip phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
because up until now, they were the only ones who made phones like that.
Yeah, that's my colleague at work. He's got the Samsung flip phone. He's had it for years, and he's like, yeah, no, just no.
Yeah.
So it has a market. It does have a market. So
yeah, that's cool.
But then again,
they're going to get a lot of sales based on the brand. So the notoriety of it's going to sell it. And I think what was their asking price for it? Is $50?
It's either 50 or 70. I don't remember.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Should be okay. Yeah.
And then next one here is Capsaicin and Cream is coming up at GDC, and that should be cool. So.
Why is that even in the doc? We can't talk about that.
Wait.
We can say that it's happening. We can't say anything
it
more.
is happening. Yeah, it is happening. So
also,
that would be, yeah.
GDC is always a fun and interesting time just to watch from a development standpoint, because you get to see what developers are doing, and sometimes you get into the more technical stuff. I enjoy watching them.
So yeah. Also, NVIDIA is supposedly holding an event somewhere else, so that is also funny. So.
Yeah. Didn't they do that last year too?
Yeah. I believe so.
They held an event in its own like conference center and invited everyone over to be in it, and that's an NVIDIA thing to do. Well, it pays off for them. They make a lot of money off of it.
Yep. And on a semi-related note, we have the new pricing for the 24-core Intel chips. It's $9,000. So
it's almost 9,000.
It is almost 9,000. If you account for the fact that they have a specific tray price, it's like $8,841.
Although realistically, it would probably be a list price of $9,000. So.
Realistically, the retailing price, the retail price is probably going to be like, it's really going to be over 9,000. So.
I think the last generation, their top of the line E7 chips were like $9,024 on Newegg. So if you could find them on Newegg, they were like $9,024 minus shipping. So that's not a really good price unless you absolutely need these things. But the people who are ordering these things are ordering them in bulk. They're not ordering one.
Mm-hmm.
These are 8-way chips. These are meant for massive mainframes, exascale computing. HPC itself is a lower end rung than these chips are aimed at.
Yep.
Just insane. I mean, these are IBM's power architecture competitor chips, and they're cool. I'm actually really impressed with what Intel's done with Broadwell for the high-end chips. You look at the efficiency of that. Is it a 165 watt chip, 24 cores, 3.4 gigahertz turbo? I'll have to bring up the article again. 3 gigahertz though, on 24 cores. Like, goddamn.
Also, the Xeon Phi is actually cheaper for once.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yep. The Xeon, they've dropped in price. I do want to point out, along with the 24 core, and I think that these launched just a little while ago, or they might be launching concurrently, but there is a quad core and a 10 core based on the XCC, which is the extreme core count die. They've made a new segment above high core count. It's now extreme core count because E7s get their own naming for some reason. But yeah, there's a quad core hyper-threaded and a 10 core hyper-threaded that also are on the same chip. So they have the 60 megs of cache. So if you have a program that only wants 1 or 2 cores, but you need 60 megs of cache to make it happy, Intel's got your solution, and those are $7,000.
Yep.
So you do save a little bit. You can save some money. If you're willing to take the 5 megs less cache, I think there's a 20 core or something that has 55 megs of cache, and it's like $4,000. So just picking up those.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then another Intel related thing. Intel HD graphics now support Vulkan, so more things have Vulkan.
Quick, everybody, with your 7700Ks, run Doom. Like, what could they run against that? Like R5 240s or something? I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
See if it'll AMD chips.
Although it is nice for the laptops, they can run Doom at slightly better frame rates. So
yes, you can now claim that your HD 4600 is a gaming, or not 4600, HD 630 is now a gaming chip. It's a gaming graphics card, guys.
I've got the fastest graphics card imaginable in my new laptop. Have you seen it? It's amazing. No.
It's kind of a big deal for Apple users, though, if they've got a brand new MacBook.
It'll be interesting to see if Apple will support Vulkan in any way, shape, or form. I think they are, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, I don't know. I would assume they would at least have some sort of support level for it.
I would imagine they would, seeing as, like, historically, well, you can't run, as far as I'm aware, you can't run DirectX games because that's Microsoft's API. So historically, they've used OpenGL. So because Vulkan is OpenGL, they'll probably use that. So
I know Apple, the just like tryhards of closed source everything are using open source APIs to make their hardware.
Yeah.
Because everybody else in the industry is locking them out. I love that.
No, they'll adopt it, but they'll adopt it in like 2 years.
Oh yeah, right. They've got to wait. They're going to adopt Vulkan in 2020, and they're going to claim that they were a pioneer in the industry of brand new open source APIs for graphics.
We invented this. We have the power.
That's right.
Yeah, it's going to be 2020. They're going to be using X99 CPUs for their Mac Pros, and it's just
that's so bad. They're not even going to use Broadwell.
No. It's going to be Haswell E. They're going to be running a secret Xeon equivalent. They got the secret Xeon. Nobody else can know what it is, and they're going to be it's going to be their 5960X, and that's all they're going to run. That's the only option you're going to have. And then they'll throw in a couple. They'll throw in a couple of Fire Pros.
Yeah, of course. But I thought they don't call them Fire Pros anymore. It'll be Radeon Pro. But isn't Apple's secret Xeons that their specific chips that they use? They're like the 2641 or something like that.
It's something really obscure.
It's just like it has a little bit more cache, and that's the only difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only difference. The other only difference is that they're deleted, which is strange to me. But
oh yeah, some of them are. Well, the old ones are. I don't know if the new ones are.
Well, I think given the size of the coolers that they use, it's probably better that they're deleted because even back in the 1366 days, the Mac Pros they used deleted CPUs. So
they did because they had designed direct cool vapor chamber heatsinks.
Yeah.
Or heat pipe. I think they had a vapor chamber. I think the Mac Pro 5.1 did.
Yeah.
5.1 or 4.1. One of them did.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really liked those machines. They were fun.
Yeah. It's too bad they're getting a bit long in the tooth now, or people charge so much for them, and I don't understand. But whatever.
Yeah, a 4.1 with an 8800 GT is like $600 still.
Yeah.
But you can put a GTX 980 in it. It's true, you can. It's kind of awesome.
Yep.
But it's not worth it.
No. And you got to get the adapters for the. They got special adapters for the PCI Express connectors.
Yep.
Yeah, they got mini 6 pins.
Woo! Which you can find for like $6 or $7 these days. I actually know a guy in Bellingham, Washington, who runs his entire business is flashing AMD cards to run on the Mac Pros. And it's incredible the prices he charges for some of those. Like a 7970 or a 280X is $270.
Ow, you can buy 2 of those for that now. Ah.
Yes. But if you don't have the EFI, you can't do anything with them.
Yeah.
So he just flashes the EFI over because he's got a legit setup over there and just sells them for a really, really big markup. And people buy them. He's been living off of it for the last 4 years. I sold him a whole stack of 7950s that I had got that were Fire Pros, and I flashed them over to 7950s. Sent them up there to him for like 120 a piece. and he turned around and sold them for $270 each. It's just like, damn.
Wow.
That's
Nice.
3 months of bills paid for him.
Yep.
Okay. On an unrelated note, we have eagles that are going to be trained to take down drones. So.
I'd like to point out, you put in the doc Eagles versus drones. I thought it was a sports thing. It was like you would put in like a football article or something. Like, who the fuck are the drones?
This will be the new. This will be the new chicken fighting.
I wouldn't even be that
Yeah,
bad.
you go. When we finally get like robot athletes, we'll just call them the drones.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't very good.
So, Fouquin, do you want to do the next transition? Just because?
Why? Why do you want me to talk about? Why do you want me to transition into movies?
Because you make the strangest transitions, and they're quite funny.
Not when you set them up like that. It don't.
Exactly. That was the point.
Virtual reality movie theater is our next one.
Okay.
Something interior crocodile.
But yeah,
Movie theater.
VR movies that you can pay $15 for. I think it's 30-minute segments or full movies. So
Yeah, I don't.
It's cheaper than my theater.
I think this is kind of a sign that VR is dying a little bit when it's just like, we need to find things to put on there so people keep using them. Movies! Quick!
So
Give them content that isn't just games.
yeah, so the thing about VR that I find interesting, I like the concept of VR, but VR movies, I found it to be a really, really strange idea to do, and it's an idea that I don't think will work really well. And the reason for that is because my original major is actually is a part of the filmmaking thing. Like my major is actually multimedia communications, which covers film, television, radio. But anyways, so I learned the entire process of filmmaking. And one of the things we learned in the filmmaking courses was that you have to be careful when it comes to perspective of the camera. The person is supposed to be a third party, and they're never supposed to really be there. There are a few instances where you have the camera actually be the actual audience viewer is now looking through the eye of the one of the characters. But with VR, the problem is that you are looking around in 360 degrees of information. So there's a chance you're going to miss some of the story. There's a chance you're going to miss some of the plot. There's a chance you're going to miss stuff. So, I mean, why would I want to watch that? No, I get the idea, but to me, someone who is a movie enthusiast, if they're aiming this at me, they have failed spectacularly. I can even tell you I know Reddit is made fun of, but Reddit movies, they laughed at the idea. They just laughed hysterically. And if you can't get Reddit movies to get behind this, you have lost your audience for VR movies.
What I was thinking when I saw that article was like, oh, this is going to be the next step to that YouTube 360 scheme that they had going on. Like, they're going to put 360 videos from YouTube on there and let you, like, look around in them. But no, that's not what they're doing.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
No, I was just like, this is actually kind of cool in a way that, you know, you can now go and watch 360 videos, because they're like camera mount stuff that they built for 360 video specifically. And I guess it would be kind of cool, but it would be like Google Maps, where you go and you feel like, or Google Earth, right? Where you just kind of feel like you're stuck in a bubble. You wouldn't really be there. You're just a little ball stuck in a bubble. And I think it would be it wouldn't have the immersive properties that VR is supposed to have.
I've used VR a couple times, and the one that was very strange was the Assassin's Creed one, because you're on rails, but it's in VR, so you're constantly moving forward, but you're also in VR, and you can't move, and you're just looking around and stuff, and it's very strange.
Yeah, see, that's a weird reality breaker for me. doesn't really
Yeah.
immerse anything.
But the
So
one
yeah,
that
VR.
I really love VR for games like War Thunder, it's the best thing ever. But for anything else that I've tried, it's terrible.
And that's a common thing too. You look at a lot of VR games, and a lot of them are you're in this room, or you are stuck in this cockpit, or you're in this car, and that's where you stay. You have free looking movement, but no real forward, backward, no axis movement.
Yeah.
So, and that works. I think people need to start figuring out if VR is going to make it anywhere. They're going to have to start figuring out like toggle controls and stuff, and joystick controls. And I think there are a couple games that do have it, and they're not bad. But again, cost prohibitive to get into VR, because even the cheapest unit is still like $500.
It's now 400. Kudos to
Oh, is it 400?
Razer.
Okay.
Yeah. Razer dropped the price on their OS VR from 500 to 389. So.
Yeah, and if anybody in the comments says Gear VR, just shut up. It's not the same. Not even close. Cheap, yes. Same, no. So yeah, VR is kind of on a downward slope, which sucks. Maybe we'll see something revive it, but for now it's starting to die. Very similar in sort of that whole dying thing to this robot that they sent in to clean up Fukushima.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
they sent in two.
Oh yeah, no. This is kind of fun. So ever since the disaster, I believe this is what was implied. The thing they sent out of the many robots that they sent, 7 have to clear out the waste. 7 have died, and so this is the latest one.
Oh,
so I'm gonna go.
They only killed 2 of them.
Yeah. So the that's like I think it was like it's like two this year, I think. I don't know. The last 2 have died, and this is the latest one.
Wow.
So what these things are doing is they're looking for radioactive. They're looking for molten nuclear fuel to pick out and throw away. Yep. I'm gonna get this explanation here really butchered, and it's a really good thing that Jajon isn't here because he would tear me a new one on this. So he's gonna watch this and he's gonna be like, "No, you idiot! What are you doing?" But so I will be spared for about a week.
He'll berate you on the forum.
He'll be right. Yeah, he will.
Well, no, but we have the trump card. We have the fact that he's probably sleeping right now.
Yes.
Don't say Trump.
No.
Fine, the trump card.
So ordinarily, the world average for background radiation exposure is about 3 millisieverts per year. So that's including all of your X-rays, all your CT scans, all your dentistry work, all the bananas that you eat. Typically, people who go up on the International Space Station generally receive about between 0.4 and 10 and 1 millisievert per day. So that's between 100 and 300 times that amount. If you were to go to Mars, the problem wouldn't be when you got to Mars, it would be during the flight. So you receive about 2 millisieverts per day. Half a sievert in an hour is enough to cause radiation sickness, like acute radiation poisoning. You might not die from it, but whatever. So this robot was exposed to 650 sieverts per hour, so hundreds of thousands of times the normal background radiation dosage. So even when you send probes to Mars or to the moon or something, the circuitry and the computer hardware, all of the electronics on the machine are radiation hardened. Any circuitry, any integrated circuits, they go through a radiation hardening process. That's how they're designed. And they're also redundant. So if you have, you'd have 2 computers, and if one dies because of it gets an incorrectable error from a cosmic ray that zaps a row of memory or something, you use the backup. And so this robot is just but this is, again, hundreds of thousands of times the amount of radiation that it's being exposed to. And so it's basically just frying the camera. They sent in a robot to kind of clear the path for this one, and that got pulled out because its camera just got completely toasted. So, presumably these are radiation hardened too. They're made by Toshiba, and they're made by, TEPCO, which is the energy company that, runs the nuclear reactors. But, again, well, not really again, but they're saying that, we don't know if this, if it was stopped, because it just stopped. It stopped right in its tracks. And they're saying, well, we don't know if it stopped because it hit something, it didn't hit something, or if it was radiation. It was probably radiation, because that's an absurd amount of radioactivity that you get exposed to. The people who went in to Chernobyl, the Chernobyl power plant, the first responders who died within a month were exposed to 6 sieverts per hour. So this is a lot of radiation. It's a lot of, And
yeah, 6 sieverts is like,
that's a lot.
It's like 650 Röntgen per hour.
Yeah.
That's just
that will kill you.
Stupid.
Yeah. That will kill you very, very, very quickly. You're basically sentenced to die. But anyone else got any comment on that? It's sad because I
want to point out 1 Röntgen is more than the background radiation in a year. 1 Röntgen is 9 millisieverts. So 650 Röntgen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
insane.
stupidly high amount of radiation for this tiny poor little robot that just couldn't handle it, so it died. So.
Yep.
Speaking of killing things.
Yes. This is
further on. We must keep going with this death thing.
Death. So YouTube is gonna kill unskippable 30-second ads next year.
Good.
So yeah.
So you're gonna have to wait a year. They're gonna sort some things out, but eventually, but that's only the 30-second ads. The 5, 10, and 15-second ads are still gonna be there. So
Unless you use ad block. Yep.
Yeah, on mobile you can't skip any ads.
Nope. That's why I don't use mobile.
Yeah, it's just pain.
Yeah. Thanks, Google.
Uh-oh.
I mean.
Uh-oh.
What?
No.
Yes.
We can't. No, this next topic.
Yes, we can, and we will. Yes, it's the yes.
No,
it's only
no.
Fouquin. This is it.
God damn it! Do not take T-Mobile away from me. They are the
oh no. This is better. You see, Fouquin. See, it's only good. This is actually good. It's only going to get worse from here. Okay. So speaking of things dying and being blown up and being thrown away or whatever, we have no segue for this.
Yeah.
So there have been rumors that talks between SoftBank and Deutsche Telekom have restarted over the possible sale of Sprint to Deutsche Telekom. So there's if you don't know what to the 7 of you watching this, if you don't know who SoftBank is, they're a Japanese company and they're a telecommunications company, and they run basically like half of the cell phone towers in Japan, and they own Sprint. If you didn't know, they bought Sprint, about a year or 2 ago, and they didn't really buy it. They own 83% of Sprint. So they basically own it, and so now they're having talks, maybe with Deutsche Telekom, with T-Mobile, to maybe sell Sprint to them and have them merge, create another wonderful mega corporation monstrosity here in America, which is just absolutely wonderful and abominable, and I hate it with all of my soul.
It's horrible, and everybody's like, well, why are you It just means that T-Mobile now owns Sprint. I'm just like, because all of the people who work at the Sprint's high-level executive branch are going to move to T-Mobile and fuck everything that T-Mobile does.
Yeah, and the great thing
T-Mobile
is,
has actually been somewhat of a less than evil company in the last couple of years.
So, while some people may praise T-Mobile, there are
somewhat less than evil, not praisal. Just that they weren't horrible.
They are not pure evil. They're the Darth Vader. They're Darth Vader. They're still completely evil, but they're not as evil as Emperor Palpatine.
They're neutral evil.
Yeah.
So the thing with this potential merger is, even though it's rumored right now, they still have to go through a couple things to get this approved. One is to go through the FCC board to get it approved, which would, given who is currently in charge of it, would likely approve the merger. They probably would.
Yeah, the FCC is going to do nothing to stop this.
Yeah, the other thing is they also would have to go through the FTC as well to approve this. Those would be the two big ones they would have to get through. The other is Congress may have a hearing on it and being like, okay, tell us how this is going to benefit customers, which is sometimes code for, okay, how much campaign funds are you going to give me to prove this? Just joking there. But but one of the things to keep in mind with this potential merger is the fact that in the United States, our infrastructure when it comes to the cell phone towers as a whole is kind of abysmal, to be completely honest. Now, what is interesting with T-Mobile and Sprint is the fact that Sprint is using the, is it the CMDA?
CDMA.
Yeah, that one. They're using that one. And T-Mobile is using the
GSM.
Yep. So but what's going to be interesting is the fact that if the merger happened, and the smart thing to be done would be like, okay, all the former Sprint phones are now gone. We're just going full GSM, which means there would only be one company left in the United States running the other one, and that would be Verizon. They would be the only one running that. Everyone else uses GSM. Which is kind of a good thing, in my opinion. GSM is
nice.
GSM is nice, having one universal standard the entire way. My friend actually came to me recently and said, "Can you recommend me a phone?" I was like, "Well, who are you with?" He's like, "Verizon." I'm like, "Well, I have good news and bad news."
Yeah.
So the GSM is so the benefits of this happening is basically it means we'll have pretty much almost all phone companies will be on the GSM standard, and only one will be on the other one, which is good.
The downside is we're down to a duopoly on GSM, AT&T and T-Mobile.
And AT&T is just...
We're already there, but everyone uses their tower. I mean, T-Mobile, where I am, T-Mobile is using AT&T's towers, so...
It's the same all over the country. Yeah, they have an agreement now where they use each other's towers because it's just cheaper that way.
Yeah, renting out the airways. Like I'm on the Google plan.
Ooh.
And they use
the holy grail of phone plans.
Yeah. And I just have my LG G5, which I got randomly, and it's on AT&T, and I have a whopping total of 250 megabytes of data because, yeah.
I've got my Alcatel K10000, and I don't even know. I haven't put a SIM card in this yet, and I don't actually know if it'll work here with the GSM bands. DJ from the forums is trying to see if she can put together some ROM hacks for that. So.
It should work.
We'll see. It should work.
These Verizon phones that I have will work on anything because they're new enough to have GSM. So it just
Last time I checked, anything GSM capable should still work on modern towers because they haven't actually removed any of the backwards compatibility. They've just kind of added shit on top. So like my old iPhone 3G, which is still running the original 3G that it shipped with, it doesn't have anything new in it. totally connected to 3G and was able to load my email. No problem.
Yeah.
So, and that phone's from like 2008, 2007.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Oops. My elbow.
And I think that about wraps up the topics
Can we do
here.
AMD rumor time?
You can talk about
No,
your
no, no. We're not talking about
WCCF tech
rumors.
thing.
I want to mention, if you need AMD rumors and you don't know where to look, WCCF Tech has put out 312 articles on AMD Ryzen in the last year. They have everything you want, including everything that isn't true. So if you just want to go over there, if you just want to go over there and drink the Kool-Aid and just like read the most horrific comments, every comment section they have is like toxic sludge. It's actually gotten to the point where they're a parody of themselves, and it's just fun to go over there and be like, I wonder what they're saying today. Oh, haha, look at that. It's like that comic, the comic with the really scribbly dog, and it's like, oh, look, a cute puppy, and then it says something, and it's like, oh no, it's retarded. That's kind of how I feel about WCCF Tech.
The only person there
Sometimes-
who actually puts out anything useful is Keith, and because it's Keith, and yeah.
That's true.
So
I'm not going to name the other journalist who decides that he's just going to sit there and crank the rumor mill like a goddamn robot. But like I said, if you want AMD rumors, we're not going to talk about them here. But WCCF Tech's got you covered. So five articles last week.
So basically, if you're a nerd and you don't like BuzzFeed, but you like AMD and you like rumors about AMD, go to WCCF Tech.
Pretty much.
Product
Yeah, it's the
placement,
BuzzFeed of the tech journalist world.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're not paid by them by any means. I just thought I'd bring it up because
Good heavens.
we've had some. We have a couple people in the show who are under NDA and can't talk about stuff, and I have actually had people ask me like, "Are you going to talk about this AMD thing?" And it's like, no.
No.
So
Yeah, no.
WCF Tech is where you want to go find AMD stuff, and most of it's not true, but that's because it's rumor mill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have no contact with anyone. No one cares about the main level 1 text channel. Nobody cares about us. Just there's nobody. I think we might, in about a month, we might have 79 views and it'll just stay there for all eternity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Woo!
Yay.
This is our little corner of the internet.
That's our
Yeah.
last AMD rumor segment.
Oh, somewhat related because, well, Cool Dude was going to be here, but he's not. But has anyone done anything interesting this week? So, start off with Kemoka, I guess.
Oh well, all right. I got my camera set up, which is kind of fun. I also got my I did the single slot 7770 is done. It works. It's completely fine, and it actually runs. The Fire Pro cooler I slapped on it works really well. It maxes out if I set the fan to auto, which is about 30%. It maxes out at about 50 degrees Celsius. So pretty good. I like it. Yeah. So that's kind of
Okay.
just what it is.
Castiel?
So I've had a fairly busy week. Besides my work week and besides doing legal research on English law, this morning, or actually last night when I logged in at 11 p.m. onto the forums, I got tagged by Wendell to look into something about SAP ruling in England. I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. I just got done doing legal research on this. I'm like, and I messaged her back. I'm like, let me get back to you in the morning so I can read over this when I'm awake. So I read over it this morning and researched it and went into it and gave him a response back. That will likely be on Level 1 Tech News, probably. So I did that. The other thing is I got in my new keyboard this week, which is by Quasan, I believe. It's a Gateron Black Switch. It's linear. It's actually really nice. Like, this is a really, really, really nice keyboard. Like, I think I'm in love with the keyboard. It's so nice. I had to replace my Ducky that I love to death. When I mean I loved it to death, I mean I eventually broke it because I used it so much for typing. So there's that. The other thing I'm doing is I'm working on writing up a review for my keyboard. I've taken a few pictures using my macro lens and using my other normal lenses, so I'm trying to be productive. And then the other thing is I'm planning on filming a video review of the actual keyboard. That way I'll be like, here's a review, here's a video. It's almost like I'm being like a mini PC per in a way.
Nice.
The power of buckling springs flows through you.
Not for me, linear.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I'm a shield. I'm a shield for buckling springs. It's fine.
But yeah, so Fouquin, however you say your name.
It's Falcon. It doesn't matter. Nobody can pronounce it right anyway. It's not a real word. Last week, because there was no show last week, I'm gonna talk about what happened last week. Got to play with the Streetcom DB4 silent case and build an X99 system in it. That was really fun. That was about the coolest thing I did last week. And then this week, I think I built another X99 system, and then got to somewhere on the forums there's a picture. Or maybe I haven't uploaded it yet, but I will soon. Of a GTX 1080, a Zotac GTX 1080 Mini, sitting on an Asus AM2 motherboard.
Oh, you put it in the
There's a story.
Discord.
I did put it in the Discord. I'll put it on the forum eventually. Because there's a story behind that I'm not talking about yet. But it is kind of fun, and I was not expecting that board to work because it was a scrap board we had sitting around. But if that project goes any further than it already has, it'll be kind of cool. So that was the coolest thing that I got to do. It was just like, we have a mini 1080. Here's an AM2 motherboard. Oh, and the CPU is an FX62. Athlon 64, FX62.
Wow.
I think it's the last of the FX chips. If you don't count the FX 74, 72, and 70, which I do actually have some of those. And those are going to be part of the project.
I almost bought a couple of those, but then I looked at the TDP and how they stack up against the Q6600, like two of them. They don't.
Yeah, they kind of don't.
They kind of do, but no, not really. Yeah.
They have one great exception over the Core 2 quads, which is that they allow massive fuck-off amounts of SATA and PCI Express lanes because it needs two chipsets to run them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all basically PLX-based, and then you do get slightly higher single-thread performance in some very specific stuff just because of the cache, and that's about it. Everything else, Core 2 quads are going to just crush the first AMD quad-core systems.
Yeah.
But I actually really, really like the Asus L1N64 SLI workstation and the dual socket Athlon 64s. It's kind of a cool retrospective, like, hey, this is how we did quad cores in 2007. Wow, we've learned a lot.
What did you do, caveman?
I did, let me see, a stream of Doom yesterday, which was pretty fun. First time I played the multiplayer since the beta, which that was interesting. So
Cool.
I did not do very well at first, and then eventually learned how. But I also have a shit ton of quadros and things now, like just flying around. Also a bunch of laptops.
He's getting that AMD and Nvidia shill money.
No, this isn't shill money. This is recycling money. So
Yeah, sure.
The cards themselves are dollar bills.
When
if you count $1 bill,
stating that the Quadro, when you release your review saying that the Quadro K4000 is the best thing ever designed by man, I know it's coming. There's no other reason to have so many Quadros just sitting on your desk if you're not reviewing
I'm gonna
them.
hack 4 of them to work in SLI just because I can.
Yep, I heard about that.
They'll work in
That's
SLI.
gonna be fun.
They work in
They will.
SLI as long as you do different SLI. So yeah.
Well, no, they'll work in Pro SLI if you
SDI,
them.
which is different.
No, there's SDI for rendering shit, and that doesn't require an interconnect. But you can actually run them in SLI. Like I had a couple of Quadro. Oh God, what were they? I think they were Quadro 5000s, like the Fermi ones, and you could put those in SLI, no problem.
Well,
And they
the
worked.
all
It's
the
just that
single
they
slot
were weak as
ones
shit.
are really annoying because they won't let you unless you use different SLI, which is normally used for SLI like a GTS 450 and a GTX 460. But if you have ones that can't SLI, then you can make different SLI SLI them anyway. So
Can
You can make them.
Can you trick them with Hyper SLI? With a Hyper SLI bootloader?
I believe
Does the
so,
SLI
but I haven't checked in a while.
Okay, because that was how we used to do it for AM3 systems before AMD was allowed to use SLI compatible stuff in their chipsets. So
Yeah.
like the 790FX chipset boards, if you use HyperSLI, you can get it to SLI through the PCI Express bus, and then it just uses the interconnect as a sort of, hey, the other card's there, we can connect to it. It's just a callback signal.
Yeah,
So you might be able to get that to work, or you can just flash them as GeForce cards and just do that.
well, the K4000 I could probably do that with, but the 4000s don't have a Fermi equivalent, so
Yeah. Well, and I know somebody's going to be in the comments going, well, actually, you can't just flash the BIOS. It requires modding the
I
board.
did that
Yes.
with the GK110B. That was fun.
Yeah,
with your help.
You do
so.
have to, on some of those cards, you do have to put a capacitor in that changes the signal on what the card reports as, so you can put the BIOS on it. But that was sort of a Kepler thing, not quite much of a Fermi thing.
Yeah, kind of want to do that with the 690. That sounds fun.
Don't stop
But no-
murdering the 690s.
But knowing me, I would completely destroy it. It would be bad.
You would. The 690 is such a work of art. Don't kill the 690. Actually,
Do it with
if
Tesla.
anybody who watches and is interested, go look up design of the GeForce GTX 690. Tom's Hardware did a review on the 690 and then did a follow-up review where they actually got in contact with NVIDIA and talked to the designers, the design team of the 690. They put like $2 billion into designing that card just to get it right. And I think it's the most labor-intense design that NVIDIA has ever built. And it was the most money they've ever put into a card design. And it paid off. I think it's a beautiful piece of work. But you'll never see that happen again. I mean, shit, they painted the Titans. The 690 was a triple-plated magnesium frame. The Titans were painted aluminum.
Yeah, the difference between the 590 and the 690, yeah, you can tell.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the thing, too. That's actually one of the quotes is like, Jen Sun had come to the design team when they had released the original designs, because originally the 690 was going to look like a 590 with just the 600 series logos and crap on it. And he went, do we really want to put this into a black coffin? That's what they call it. That's what the CEO of NVIDIA called their cards, black coffins. That's why they changed to that really fancy aluminum with the plexi window. Well, it's not plexi on the other cards. I think the only two cards that it's actually plexi on are the Titan X and the 690. I think everything else is all some other plastic base. But
this reminds me,
yeah,
I have to
holy carpet.
eventually attempt to fix my GTS 680 engineering sample, which is just sitting there. So
you do need to do that. Get some SMC and start fixing that stuff.
I also have to fix my
But-
Sabertooth X79, but I'm getting annoyed at it, and it's also bent out of shape, literally. So
Yeah, well, if you actually start working on that 680, I might start working on my 7950 Tahiti sample that has the fucked up memory. Because that card's really cool. That's the one with the DisplayPort HDMI combo port. Maybe we can
what?
get them both working and put them head to head against each other.
that would be funny. Although, knowing NVIDIA drivers, it would be like 7950 wins. Or 7970.
Oh,
whichever
absolutely.
one.
No, there's no joke about that. I already did that test a couple years ago. 7950s destroy 680s these days. It's hilarious. Like 15% in some tests.
So yeah, I think we're about done rambling, so we'll
Yeah.
probably end the stream here. Thanks to anyone who's watching. I think we have one viewer right now, so
Yeah,
thank
that
you,
was 1 hour.
person.
We went an hour. Woo!
And we'll be here next week around the same time, unless people can't make it for some reason. So see you then.